All right. Welcome to the Scorched Earth Political Podcast for Saturday, March 1st, 2025. And, sights and wonders, right? I was going to tell you a couple little stories, but I think we're just going to head into the news. It's probably going to be a little long podcast today. First off, I'm your host, John. Please hit the subscribe and like button. Leave some comments. Live on the wild side. It was incredible political theater yesterday at the White House. Something like we've never seen before. The fight between Trump and Zelensky. J.D. Vance happened to go in there. Was basically the pit bull, the assassin in the room. First of all, I've seen a lot of press conferences from Trump already. I've never seen J.D. Vance in the room. He was brought in there for a setup. It was political theater at its highest. I'm going to play a little clip from it right now.
He broke this ceasefire. He killed our people, and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about? What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr. President, with respect, I think it's disrespectful for you to come into the Oval Office and try to litigate this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Have you ever been to Ukraine? Did you see what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come on.
I've actually watched and seen the stories, and I know what happens is you bring them on a propaganda tour, Mr. President. Do you disagree that you've had problems bringing people into your military? And do you think that it's respectful to come to the Oval Office of the United States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems, even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God bless.
You don't know that.
God bless.
You
God bless. You will not have war.
Don't tell us what we're going to feel. We're trying to solve a problem. Don't tell us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because you're in no position to dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this. You're in no position to dictate what we're going to feel. We're going to feel very good.
Feel influence.
We're going to feel very good and very strong.
You will feel influence.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not in a good position. You don't have the cards right now. With us, you start having cards. Right now, you don't. You're playing cards. You're playing cards. You're gambling with the lives of millions of people. You're gambling with World War III. You're gambling with World War III. And what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. It's back to you. Far more than a lot of people said they should have.
Have you said thank you once? This entire meeting? No, in this entire meeting, have you said thank you? You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of America and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war,
He's not speaking loudly. He's not speaking loudly. Your country is in big trouble.
Can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No. You've done a lot of talking. Your country is in big trouble.
I know.
You're not winning.
know.
You're not winning this. You have a damn good chance of coming out okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet.
You haven't been alone.
In this cabinet.
We gave you, through
I
this
said
stupid
thank you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
we gave
for
you
your
military equipment,
You
and you
voted
men
for
are
your
brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
if you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me.
equipment,
You invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
Biden.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3 days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course he has.
It's going to be a very hard thing to do business like this. I tell you.
Just say thank you.
I
Accept
said a lot of times
accept that there are disagreements, and let's go litigate those disagreements rather than trying to fight it out in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on.
I understand, sir.
I think it's very important. That's why I kept this going so long. You have to be thankful. You don't have the cards.
thankful.
You're buried there. Your people are dying. You're
again,
running low on soldiers. Listen, you're running low on soldiers. It would be a damn good thing. And then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go, and I want this. Look, if you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire.
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
With guarantees.
Because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me. That wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden, who was not a smart person. That was with Obama.
It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins.
Yes.
I gave you the javelins to take out all those tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama gave sheets and Trump gave javelins. You got to be more thankful, because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to Mr. Vice President. I'm sorry, here.
It'll be a tough deal to make. Because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What if Russia breaks peace talks? What do you do then? I understand that it's a heated conversation right now.
What are you saying?
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with...
You know, there's a lot to unpack there. I appreciate you listening. It went a little long. I haven't seen that kind of tag team since I watched WWE a couple weeks ago. You can tell that Zelensky is fighting for his country. He is fighting for the million soldiers and people who have been killed and or injured. Russia has historically broken every ceasefire and agreement they've ever had. Putin is just notorious for doing it. Look at Crimea. We have a situation where I think the motivations are different. Trump wants to get the Nobel Peace Prize so he can be like his best friend Obama. And he doesn't care what happens to the country of Ukraine. A little known fact, approximately 20,000 children in Ukraine since the start of the war have been kidnapped and relocated to camps in Russia. Now, I know that sounds familiar to anybody who's a fan of this administration, because that seems to be what we do to undocumented workers' kids. Just take the kids away from mom and dad and just let them have a life where they never get to see them again. There's a lot of tragedies in war. And Zelensky basically came to the White House to sign the rare earth minerals deal, which would give him security assurances. And at the last minute, Trump wouldn't give him those security assurances. And basically what he's saying is, okay, we signed the deal. You get the minerals. Russia gets to keep the land. And we get American troops who enforce the agreement. And Trump doesn't want to send any troops. Now, Europe has sent troops. They sent troops to Iraq. They sent troops to Afghanistan. Europe sent troops to both those places. They've agreed to be part of any deal. The United States hasn't. They just want the minerals so he can, quote unquote, broker this peace accord. And Zelensky is realizing, justifiably so, that Putin isn't necessarily going to honor it, because the United States it's like Afghanistan. Once we left, we ain't going back. It doesn't really matter. Putin just has to get the agreement, has to get America off his butt, and then he can reinvade. That's just what we're looking at. It is, Trump said in other parts of that meeting, he said, when he's ready for peace, Zelensky will get it. Well, I think the guy's been in the front lines. Like when he asked J.D. Vance, have you been to Ukraine? Oh, no, I've seen stuff. You're litigating it in front of the American public. Yeah, you guys wanted to beat him up. You wanted him to capitulate, and he didn't. The guy's got a spine. He's a real leader. And when he said, it's going to come back to you, Trump says, you don't know what we're going to feel. Well, you know what? You break the European alliance, and one day, this just in, the ocean isn't going to protect you. They've got planes, they've got boats, and they even got a newer thing called submarines. Good luck. You know, we've used this geographical isolation as such an advantage, but that's not the way the world is anymore. They can park a submarine off the coast of Washington or off Maryland, and, you know, there you go. Good luck. You know, I know I am the only person out there asking this. Probably why I'm such an idiot. But are all these same things going to apply to Israel? They need to pay us back. They need to listen to what we tell them to do. Doesn't seem like it. Over there, the tail's wagging the dog. You know, Trump's trying to tell Ukraine what they're going to do with their sovereignty. Okay, fine. We've given them weapons. Biden gave them a lot of weapons. Biden saved them. You're trying to get them to capitulate. You and Putin and Vance, let's not forget Vance's part in this, because, you know, he wants to be president one day and power corrupts fully, that you want Zelensky to slink away and you want to carve up his country. Part of it we get, part of it Russia gets, and hey, we'll give you a little taste later. You know, it is his country. These are his people. And what happened yesterday, I've seen on the right-wing media yesterday, everybody's applauding him. He stood up to Zelensky. It was an ambush. It was a straight effing ambush. It's just reprehensible that the president, who is the leader of the largest democracy in the world, is trying to fold another country that is democratic. Or what about Russia? What is Russia paying the price for? They invaded the country. Trump still doesn't admit that. Vance doesn't admit it. I've seen Republican town halls where these guys, these representatives, these congressmen will not admit, because that's the company line, that Russia invaded. I mean, okay. And is water wet? I'm not sure. I'm going to have to get back to you on that. Let me Google that. Wonder what Google says. I saw a sign on Facebook today. It said, if Russia stops fighting, there will be no war. If Ukraine stops fighting, there will be no Ukraine. I applaud Zelensky. He's a brave man. He came in. He's trying to save his country. This isn't brokering anything. He is trying to save his country. Unfortunately, the United States is not going to help him. Okay. It's going to have to be up to Europe. France and Britain and Germany are going to have to lead the way. And I think it's just a matter of time till we leave NATO. I know that's impossible to believe, our alliance for 80 plus years, but it really looks like the way Trump is talking, I don't see us staying. Well, he lies about how much money we've given. Europe gives more money. We've actually given $175 billion. Hey, this just in, we have bookkeepers who keep track of that stuff. He keeps saying it's 350. I don't know. I don't know if it's the venereal disease coursing through his blood system that makes him askew on the numbers, or what it is. But Fat Donnie has a real problem with the numbers. Okay? He really does. Well, you sure don't seem to be talking about the price of eggs. All right. I am glad as an American that my tax dollars went to Ukraine to fight for democracy. I am proud of Zelensky. I'm ashamed of my own leaders. And that's what I got to say today for that. All right. In Trump 1.0, I don't even understand why we're getting to these stories. It's always going to be like a house on fire. Next 4 years. In Trump 1.0, the Trump administration basically stopped transgender people from joining the military. Okay. There you go. Now they are being discharged. Openly transgender service members will be disqualified from serving in the U.S. military and will shortly be removed from the armed services. We're looking at anywhere between 30 and 60 days that their service will be terminated. This is a significant shift for the DoD, the Department of Defense, policy that prohibited discrimination based on gender identity. Now, this all evolved from the don't ask, don't tell, okay? Once again, the Army had a long-standing policy that people who were gay could not serve. All right? You know, they are people. There is no difference if you are of color, sexual orientation, gender identity, that as long as you can do the job, what the F does it matter? I look at it like this. There was a time in this country where black people were not allowed to go to medical school. They couldn't be doctors and nurses. And then that slowly, through integration, through opening up colleges, through opening up medical schools, became a thing of the past. Then there was an inherent bias against people who were in same gender, who were gay. Let's just call it that, okay? I was trying to walk around it nicely. That went away. Now they don't even care. I guess that's probably part of Queer Eye. Queer Eye had a cultural phenomenon, all right? Now we realize that gay people are just like this. I will tell you this is my experience. Gay people are better than heterosexual people. Heterosexual people are a bunch of mofos, okay? Everybody I've ever met who's gay is actually stellar. They are the rock salt of the earth. Great morals, just beautiful people, just want to live their life. Transgender, let's get to that. I don't understand what this is, but like I have told you on previous podcasts, the GOP, the Republicans, have been wrong on every social issue in history. Never been right once. When they are batting 0 for 1,000, I don't put any credence. I'm telling you right now, in 10 years, they're going to be on to the next cultural boogeyman. Transgender is already going to be accepted. Look, forever, I don't even know how many years, gay people weren't allowed to be in the military. Okay? Then they were, but it was a don't ask, don't tell. And then it got to the point of, who cares? Right? Let's talk about Scott Bessent. He's the Treasury Secretary of the United States. At his confirmation hearing, his husband and his 2 beautiful kids were in the front row. And he was talking about his struggles in the military. And they asked him, well, how come you haven't done more public service? And he goes, because I was gay, I was scared. I was scared being in the military. They made me afraid. That's exactly what they're doing to these transgender people. These are good people. Okay? And like I have said a million times, and I'll say a million effing more, if it saves 1 or 2 kids from killing themselves because they don't feel like they're the only person in the world with those problems, you can take your transgender stuff and stuff it up your ass. That's what I think. F you and F your policies. If you want people to hate, if you want to live in a world of hate, you know what? You can go down to Mar-a-Lago because that just seems to be festering all over the place there. It made it in the way to the White House today or yesterday. But you know what? Me, you, we don't have to succumb to that. We could be the better person. But that doesn't mean I'm not mad. My mom the other day told me, don't get mad on your podcast. I said, I like to get mad because they're a bunch of mother effers. Trying to give the 10 minutes. I'm trying to give the 10 minutes, right? So now they aren't allowing anybody who's transgender. They're being ostracized. They're lepers. They're out. There was an executive order signed by Donald Trump last month, and it said medical, surgical, and mental health constraints on individuals with gender dysphoria are inconsistent with the high standards expected of U.S. troops. That's the same thing they used to say forever about gay people. And now we have a beautiful gay person, even though I don't agree with this politics. Scott Bessent is your Treasury Secretary. So Scott Bessent, who was in the military, it's cool. But somebody who's transgender, boy, that's where they really cross the line. Earlier memo from Defense Secretary Pig Hegseth has said that people with a history of gender dysphoria would no longer be able to join the military, but that they would be treated with dignity and respect. Well, if you can't join and the ones who are there are kicked out, what do you have to worry about? It's just a bunch of word salad. The new memo goes a step further in stating that the current service members will be removed if they have gender dysphoria or a history of it. Tell me they aren't going to be researching that. You know, the military does have a hiring crisis. Doesn't seem like it's a big deal. Okay. All right. Yeah. This has nothing to do with their ability. Okay? It's just hate speech. It's just hate. It's just plain old prejudice. And if it was somebody who was black or if it was somebody who was gay, society wouldn't accept it. But because this is the new cultural boogeyman, everybody sits back and goes, yeah, they're right. And in 6 years, when they, quote unquote, have been normalized, everybody's going to sit back, yeah, I got no problem because I have a cousin who's transgender, or I have an uncle, or I have a niece, or whatever they want to say. I'm not going to get into the pronoun game. I don't really care. You can take the pronoun game and shove it up your butt too. Okay? The Republicans, of course, are rallying around it. At the town halls, I'm seeing it constantly. I wonder if one day they're going to ask forgiveness, and I wonder if forgiveness will ever come. We forget about it. We move on to the new cultural boogeyman because the Republicans are nothing but the new Ku Klux Klan. And instead of going after people of color, they go after people who have a different identity. And there is no difference. Instead of white hoods, they come with red hats. And make no mistake, our country isn't the better for it. I'm on work. I'm working up, man. I'm working up. That Zelensky press conference got me fired up. Okay. Odd things in the news. The Trump administration, 4 more years, people, 4 more years, is preparing its latest round of federal layoffs yet, targeting entire job categories and shrinking agency workforces. The General Service Administration, GSA, warned employees of imminent termination, while the Social Security Administration has been ordered to cut staff by 50%, somewhere around 7,000 people. They got their terminations. And a Labor Department office enforcing equal employment laws faces a 90% reduction. God forbid we have equal employment under the law. You know what? Women, minorities, people who identify at a different rate, different way. Good luck. Good luck. Boy, I want everybody to remember, elections have consequences. Real consequences. Also, federal judge ruled that the Trump administration can fire dozens of CIA and intelligence officers who had worked on diversity programs. These people were doing what they were instructed by their superiors. They did their job to the best of their ability, and because this administration didn't agree with the previous administration, they're going to be fired. They're going to lose their jobs. I don't know if you happened to see it yesterday, but USAID cleared out their offices, and there was people out there thanking them for what they have done. And it's a sad moment. It's one of the great humanitarian things America did, and now it's gone. And I still don't understand, when it was fully funded, how Trump can stop that. I don't know. Sometimes, I guess, when you're heading towards dictatorship, you could do whatever you want. A couple other little things here. Pope Francis is on a breathing machine. I'm conflicted. Like I've said previously, I grew up Catholic. I hate the way the Catholic Church hid the pedophilia scandal from the priest. I feel bad for the Pope. I think he has tried to make significant and good changes in the church, but the Catholic Church moves slower than than I do on a hot day in Palm Springs. I wish him well. I'm not going to tell you to pray for him. You can do that yourself. But yeah, that's all I got to say about that. All right, and finally, to wrap up the news, measles cases in West Texas approaching 150, up 22 from last Tuesday. Yeah, measles outbreaks are happening. Yes, this is from the Texas Department of Health. Also, measles cases have been reported in New Jersey and Kentucky. The actual number of cases in Texas is greater than what is being reported because some cases are unaccounted for and others are awaiting lab confirmation. Well, just like COVID, if you remember, if you don't report them, they can't be counted. Remember when Trump used to say that? If we weren't doing so much testing, we wouldn't know how many cases there were. Effing stupid on stupid. This guy is our commander-in-chief. Well, at least we'll have plenty of things to bond over in the next couple of years. All right. That's it for our podcast today. Hey, thanks for sharing your day with me. Thanks for sharing some time with me. I know it looks bleak, but we're going to get through this together. I love you. Let's all figure it out. Let's save democracy. And I will see you tomorrow.